Measures of dispersion, a very important concept in statistics. Dispersion measures provide us with essential information about the spread or variability of a dataset. They give us an idea of how much the data values deviate from the average. To understand this, we first need to know the measures of central tendency, which are the mean, median, and mode. These measures tell us where the center of the data is located. However, they don't tell us anything about how the data is spread out. For example, two sets of data can have the same mean, median, or mode, but one of them might be more spread out than the other. And knowing how spread out the data is can be just as important as knowing where the center is located. Let's take a look at 4 common measures of dispersion: the range, interquartile range, variance, and standard deviation. The range is the simplest measure of dispersion and is just the difference between the largest and smallest data values. It's easy to calculate and interpret, but it's highly sensitive to outliers, which are extreme values that can pull the range in opposite directions. As a result, the range is not always a good representation of the overall spread of the data. The interquartile range, also known as the IQR, is a more robust measure of dispersion because it focuses on the middle 50% of the data rather than the tails. To calculate the IQR, we first need to find the median of the data. This divides the data into 2 equal halves. Then we find the median of the lower half and the median of the upper half. The interquartile range is the difference between these 2 medians. Because the IQR is based on the median, it is not affected by outliers. However, it does not take into account all the data points. Variance and standard deviation are more comprehensive measures of dispersion because they take into account the distance of each data point from the mean. Variance is the average of the squared differences between each data point and the mean. It's a good measure of dispersion, but it's not very easy to interpret because it's in squared units. Standard deviation is the square root of the variance, and it's in the same units as the original data. It's a more interpretable measure of dispersion, and it's commonly used in statistics. In summary, measures of dispersion provide a way to summarize the variability or spread of a dataset. They are essential for understanding the nature of the data and for making inferences about populations based on samples. Different measures of dispersion have different strengths and weaknesses, so it's important to choose the one that is most appropriate for the data and the situation. Range is easy to calculate and interpret, but it's sensitive to outliers. Interquartile range is robust to outliers, but it doesn't take into account all the data points. Variance and standard deviation are comprehensive measures, but standard deviation is preferred because it's in the same units as the original data. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.